I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I don't have a plan for this video. Come on, Eeb, think. You should do a collab now and give somebody else a piece of that script for the video that's going over. Whatever it is. Was that an you know what? Never mind. That sounds like a great idea. Collabs are not an uncommon thing in the world. A simple collaboration would be you collaborating with your peers. But I'm not here to talk about any type of collabs. No, I'm here to talk about video game collabs. But you would have already known that if you read the title of this video. I gotta stop doing that. Anyways, in this video I'll collaborate with other Eebs that made other videos. In the top left you'll see who the current Eeb that's presenting the info. I'll start of course, but please show your respect to the other Eebs too. Video game collabs are also known as a video game crossover. Now that I think about it, I should have named the video that. Apparently, the earliest one is from a game called Battle Soccer Field no Hasha. This game is a soccer game as the title suggests. But it isn't your average soccer game, as these people don't look like any soccer player I've heard of. Jokes aside, this game is a crossover with Ultraman, Godzilla, Gundam, and a few other series I can't really say I'm familiar with. But if you've noticed, none of these characters have debuted from a video game. I may be wrong about this, and I probably am, but The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening had this crossover concept. It may not be playing as other characters, but it has some references from Mario, Kirby, and apparently a game called The Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls. You can count this as a true crossover or just a simple reference if you want. But over the next years of gaming, we would see more crossovers from different game series in many different forms. There's no specific reason for a crossover to happen, but at the same time, it always goes back to one thing. It doesn't matter what type of crossover the game is doing, but it has been proven time and time again that these collabs are successful. What does success bring? Money. You can see this in a bunch of places. Let's use Smash as an example since that's one of the biggest collabs you'll ever see. Smash's success comes from a couple of factors, but a big one is the crossover from many beloved game series. The cross in the Smash logo even represents the fact that there are many series crossing over. Anyways, many different companies see this success and are like, can you let us in? So that's why this roster is huge. But that wasn't the point I was trying to make. The point is, more people know certain games because of this, boosting their sales. I bet you many people didn't know who Joker, Banjo, and Terry are before this game. I didn't know 2 of the 3 to be honest. Of course, that was a big example of how crossovers can be crucial. But what about on a smaller scale? Fighting games are perfect when it comes to examples of crossovers, but I only want to focus on one in particular. The King of Fighters is not all original characters. It was probably the first fighting game to collaborate with a bunch of other series, albeit SNK games. But that doesn't take away the fact that the big roster it has is partially from other game series like Fatal Fury, Ikari Warriors, and Psycho Soldier, just to name a few. It does bring fans from both sides to the series, but I don't really see this as an exposure tactic. Why would SNK try to advertise Art of Fighting when the last game came out in 1996? The Mario series is another series with its fair share of collabs. Mario Kart is the bigger series that does this though. You could be technical and say that Donkey Kong was the first crossover character, but who looks at DK and thinks, wow, Donkey Kong from the Donkey Kong series is in this game? Probably more than I'd think. But Rob was actually the first big crossover character. Rob is literally a toy. Why did they bring him in Mario Kart DS? I don't know. But when you look at the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe roster, it's a little more interesting. The amount of Nintendo characters represented, it's pretty cool. Again, I don't really know why they're bringing these characters in. This one may actually be to advertise their games. Who doesn't love a good collaboration? Me and Sippi had to in order to defeat Takumi, so I would say that was pretty hype. And with that logic, video games also have their fair share of hype crossovers. Since I am Persona Eeb, I might as well start with Persona. Who knew there would be more than one Persona game that crossed over with itself?
Persona 5 Royal somewhat collabed with Persona 3 and 4 with the extra DLC battles against Yu Narukami and Makoto Yuki.
I still haven't played those two, let alone bought them.
Persona 4 Arena is somewhat canon to the Persona 4 story, but I don't really think so. Look, it's complicated. This game has the grown-up version of the Persona 3 cast like Akihiko, Junpei, and Makoto.
Wait, why isn't he in this game?
But in all seriousness, that is a collab that did happen, and it is important to the story too. And the best Persona example of a collab that is pretty cool to see is the spin-off series, Persona Q. Any Persona fan would find it so hype seeing the past Persona heroes meeting each other and working together. I know someone went crazy when they saw Joker and Yu fight for a second. RIP to all the Persona 1 and 2 fans waiting for the day that they will be represented, and not by a DLC costume. Fighting games have their fair share of hype collabs too. We already talked about Smash, but just know that those reveals were actually where people literally broke the internet. I'm looking at you, Steve. But let me talk about another series that has a pretty crazy amount of collabs too. Street Fighter? No, not that. The Capcom Vs series? Nope. Although those are pretty crazy too. The game I have in mind is Tekken. Tekken 3 had an interesting one with a manga series for whatever reason, but the crossover I have in mind is Tekken 7. If you ever said that Akuma would be in Tekken, not many people would have believed you, but he's in. And he's actually used in the main story.
Bro, what?
But Akuma isn't the only crossover character in Tekken 7. Geese Howard from Fatal Fury, Noctis from Final Fantasy 15, and Negan from The Walking Dead all were somehow included in this game. All these characters in a 3D fighter. How absolutely insane. Mobile games. This is where all the real collabs happen. As an anime fan myself, I spend all my time playing mobile games.
I wonder what would have happened if I never got into anime. I probably would have never gone to the anime world. Meh. Wait, I'm getting sidetracked.
So there are many examples of this type of collab. KOF All-Stars is a great example of this. KOF is being used way too many times in this video, but they do know how to collaborate with others, I guess. This game's first collaboration was with Gintama, an anime. I have no idea what even made this happen, but it existed. Then there was the Samurai Shodown collab, and then there was Tekken 7, and then WWE? What the? Then with another mobile game called Seven Nights, then the Seven Deadly Sins anime, huh? How? And then Dead or Alive 6, then Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2, then Street Fighter 5 which was pretty hype, and most recently Soul Calibur 6. Yeah, these guys know how to collaborate, but I think that's because mobile games don't really have the same rules as normal games, which doesn't really make too much sense. Dragalia Lost was a cool other example which died recently, sadly, so I can't talk about that, can I? Well, all you really need to know is that there are a lot more mobile games that have crazy collaborations compared to home console games and whatnot, but recently, I feel as if they've gone a little quiet. So who knows if there will be a crazy crossover soon in a mobile game. Keep a lookout for them. You may have noticed that many mobile collabs are mainly for gacha games. All in all, game collabs are pretty crazy.
What the? Sippi?
What? I wanted to do the last one.
But you're not an Eeb.
So?
Fine. But I'm making this segment short because of this.
What? Fine. Collaborations happen all the time, and they will never really go away. The types of crossovers people want from games are one where you can play as a character from a different series. They're a cool thing to have if they're done right. So not all collaborations can really get the same treatment, but hype mixed with money will always
And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the first, and probably last, Eeb collab. As long as there's two game series that are beloved, expect to see some sort of crossover between them. They will more or less bring popularity between each other. It's pretty much what a collab would do anywhere. If two people are collaborating with each other, they'll end up benefiting out of it in some way. So as long as companies are willing to split something with each other, there will always be a video game collab. Now, I wonder who the first non-Eebworld person I collaborate with will be.